Chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you know exactly how powerful a podcast can be. Whether it's for entertainment, personal growth, commute time, or your daily, maybe weekly workout in the gym, podcasts are the medium that millions of people use to get the content that they're looking for. And the question I get most often is, how do you create your podcast? If you haven't heard about Anchor, I'll tell you because a good friend told me. First of all, it's free. We always like to lead with the good stuff. The platform has all the tools you need to record and edit your podcast, all from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Anchor then goes to work for you by distributing your podcast episodes for you so it's able to be heard on all the top platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Best of all, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's a one-stop shop to create your podcast and get your voice heard and your story told. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Representing East Oakland, man.
Welcome back. Another episode of the Hawk Vision Podcast. Guys, wherever you're listening, however you're listening, you know how the saying goes. I know you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here to rock with us, and I couldn't be more appreciative. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe across all your social media platforms. Just Google the Hawk Vision Podcast. Share it with other visionaries just like yourself, and make sure you hit the merchandise store. It's hoodie season. We want you to stay warm for all the visionaries out there. The guest that we have today, somebody that was put on my radar, and when I tell you an absolute rock star, he's been called the entrepreneur's pastor, a gentleman that has an online community that is tens of thousands of people strong, growing exponentially, someone I've come to be a fan of, not only because of the way he speaks and interacts with his clients and followers, but because he's bridging a gap in entrepreneurship that far too many people overlook. He's probably has one of the biggest collection of reviews and receipts of any business owners that I've seen so far, if you're following him online. Mr. Marc Coley, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much, man. I almost was like, who is he about to interview? Because like, is that me?
I love it.
I appreciate it.
No,
What's
absolutely.
Going on,
you got it, man. We always do the research, and you were, recommended highly by the great Kashira Moffitt. So I'm looking at, all the outlets and the reviews, and I'm like, oh man, how did he slip under my radar? Like, you've been killing it out there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I really do. It's been years in the making, but I'm glad to finally see some results of the sacrifices and all of that to build a community and be a trailblazer. It takes work, so I'm glad that it's now reaching a point where people are like, okay, I see you. It takes about 12 years before you get I see you.
Right. And we were just talking about that. Like, Atlanta's really good for collaboration versus the Bay Area is a little bit different. But it's something about that. It almost makes me mad that Malcolm Gladwell put out that 10,000 hour rule book, because it's like we've been kind of watching that play out, where you don't get the love until after you've been doing it for so long. And then it's like, oh, I knew him.
Yeah. It's always like that. It comes along with the territory. You got to prove yourself to people. You have to prove yourself to yourself first.
Right.
Then you have to prove yourself to the people that know you or knew you. And then you have to also prove yourself to the people who are just now being introduced to you. So there's like three spectrums that I'm having to, I got to solidify myself within myself first.
Yeah.
And then I got to show the people that grew up with me, that knew the old me, the old habits, the old mindset. I have to reintroduce myself and then solidify my new identity with them. And then from the host of new people, I got to do the same thing. So it's a constant gaining verification. It's just like going to a doctor. You want to see receipts. You want to know that you're not their first customer. You want to know that they went to school. You want to gain that clarity that they know who they are.
Yeah.
So that's what it takes sometimes. So it's just one of those things that you have to deal with as an entrepreneur, or I'll say within any profession that you commit yourself to doing. You just can't come on the scene as a rookie and just expect to be respected as a professional or a legend. You don't earn your stripes that way.
Absolutely agree. In the words of the the philosopher Jay-Z, allow me to reintroduce myself. So let me ask you, what got you started in entrepreneurship, man? When did the bug bite you?
I personally don't subscribe to the thought that you just kind of decide to. Granted, you can, and there's nothing, against anybody that one day pops up and say, yeah, I want to be an entrepreneur. And they have every right and probably all of the potential to succeed. But I do think there is a calling or a gifting, just like a person was born and it's almost like they were destined to sing, or a person was born and they were destined to be in theater. It's like something that's just a part of your DNA, how you were wired. And as you go along in life, if it's not cultivated by parents and loved ones to pull it out of you, you will run into something that will pull it out of you. But I think in the beginning of it, it's all destined. So I don't know if I was, quote unquote, got bit by the bug. I just know that I was always different, and I know that I was always meant to lead. And I, at an early age, understood my influence and how people followed me. Not that I necessarily knew where I was going, but I was just bold enough to lead and go, and people respect that. So I can't give you an exact time. I just knew in high school that I started to become more focused on, starting organizations, and I wanted to be the president of the clubs, and I wanted to start my own clubs, and I wanted to enroll people, and I wanted to do, I just wanted to be a boss, I just.
I love it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That actually, it leads me to my next question is so I have, myself, I always tell everybody this is where work ethic, vision, and belief come together. And for the Marc Coley Business Academy, you have purpose, destiny, and flow. What do those three words mean to you?
Purpose, knowing why you were created, knowing why you're doing something that you're doing outside of financial gain. Just, a chair doesn't scream, pay me for being a chair. It simply sits there and it waits until you sit in it, because the moment you sit in a chair, the purpose of the chair has been fulfilled. So I think knowing your purpose is so important, because once you get clear on your why, I believe the how falls into place. But when you're not clear on the why you're here, you're just kind of in that space of being all over the place, and you're searching for yourself. You're searching for your purpose. Like, what am I meant to do here? And yes, you can make a lot of money from doing a lot of things. We all know that,
Absolutely.
Hey, this is 2020. You can make money from taking off your clothes on Instagram, OnlyFans. Shout out to the people that's millionaires for just taking off your clothes. But
there's a market for everything.
Certain things, there's a market for everything. But certain things that you do fulfill you outside of monetary gain.
Yeah.
And those are some things I think you should pursue. Flow. I go to this train of thought, is that the fish, you don't have to teach a fish how to swim. It just naturally flows into that life. It flows. A dog, I have a puppy, and he's about to be 1 year old. And there are certain things that every day I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you're such a puppy. Like, he's starting to do things. Like the other day he used the restroom, and he, kicked. Well, supposedly, I guess he was kicking the dirt over his little pile.
Yeah.
So I was like, I've never seen him do that before. Where did that come from? It's not like he's going to doggy school. It's not like he's doing something that, he's seen someone else do. I didn't tell him. It's just inside of him. So he's flowing with his purpose and his nature. He doesn't know why he's doing it. It was built inside of him. So purpose, and then you flow into that. And that's when the least resistance comes. Not saying that no resistance will come in your pursuit of life and being successful, but I think when you flow with where life is leading you and where God is leading you, it's least resistance versus doing things that I'm not destined or I'm not purposed to do. And what was the last word that you gave me?
It was destiny.
I flow right into it. And destiny, ultimately, to me, is just fulfilling all of those things. So finding a purpose, flowing into it, and destiny is just that I did it. It's that check mark. And then if you're still alive, there's going to be a second purpose. There's going to be a new purpose and a new flow and a new destiny. So I think as human beings, we never get to the top of the mountain, and if we do, we just seemingly conquer that mountain. Then the Lord will have us to go to another mountain and start conquering that again. And we do that until our time on the earth is up. So yeah, I think all of those words are significant.
I love it. Absolutely strong. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't noticed already, when I did the introduction, I tell the listeners that we were bridging a gap in entrepreneurship that people often overlook. And a lot of people will say that they have a level of faith that got them this far, and they kind of touch on it as if it's, the mustard on a hot dog or, the windshield wipers on the car. And your business academy is as the saying goes, heavy on the faith, right? And so my question is, how are you able to package that and service that community of believers that are also entrepreneurs without compromising the faith that they hold so dear in order to compete in an entrepreneurship environment that's heavily competitive and not always conducive to faith-based entrepreneurs?
That, ladies and gentlemen, is a question. I love it. I haven't been asked that one quite that way, but what I will say is that teaching, well, I'll start here. What I noticed in the entrepreneur space as it pertained to believers is that there was a sloppy job done for people of faith when it came to business. When I say sloppy, I hope anyone that's listening what I'm going to say, but it's clear when I'm looking on the outside as a person that's skilled in spirituality and business, it's clear to be able to identify somebody that's heavily in spirituality but has no knowledge of the business world.
Right.
And I say that when you see things like a daycare called Anointed Hands Daycare, or you see a cleaning business that's called Jesus Make Me Clean, cleaning services.
Yes.
And you see these things, and I know the intent of the person is to give glory to God. Oh, hallelujah. Ooh, God gave me this. I'm going to name it after God.
Yes.
My business is called Hallelujah Kitchen. And they don't understand that it's limiting them in the business world, because now you just said the only people that I will service are those that can identify with the culture that I created based on the name.
Yes.
And your business could be for all people, but now all people would not subscribe to your business because you just told them this is only for the anointed folks. This is only for the hallelujah folks. And it's just, I get it, but it shows me that they're missing information on that part. So they are heavy on the faith, but light on the intelligence. And then I believe that the Lord has called me to that space to make sure that his people are not made ashamed in the business world, because you gotta know marketing. You gotta know how to establish your business. You gotta know about business insurance and accounting. You gotta know about SEO. You gotta know about the importance of a website. So I come to pretty much show entrepreneurs that are faith-based. Doesn't mean they have to have a faith-based business, but they are faith-based. Yeah. I'm showing them how to merge the two and do it in a professional way. Yes, I speak in tongues. Yes, I will lay on the floor and all of that. But I'll also get up and I'll know about how to sell something. I'll know the psychology of why people buy. I'll know about the analytics. I'll know about the algorithm. So as soon as I come out of my prayer closet, I still can have a conversation in the real world. And so many believers can't do that, and that's a problem. Because there's a story in the Bible. The prophet goes to the widow woman, and she's in debt, and they're coming for her. Yes. And he asks her one question: what do you have in your house to sell? In other words, what's going to bring you out of this is your ability to tap into your gift as an entrepreneur. What do you have that you can sell? But it's more than just, okay, I got something I can sell. Everybody got something they can sell. Yeah. OnlyFans shows us that. But what do you have of value to sell that's going to sustain you? And at that same time of asking her that question, he needed to also ask her, do you know how to sell it? Because I can have something that's I can sell anything, but do you know how to sell it?
Yes.
So yeah, man, that's my space in this whole thing of spirituality and business, of merging those two. Business is very competitive, but I feel as if you know that you are a believer and you believe in God and you believe in the supernatural, you should have a competitive advantage in the marketplace. But first, you got to set yourself up to have the competitive advantage, because if your car wash is named Blessed Hands, yeah, you already shot yourself in the foot for the competitive advantage,
Absolutely.
You just messed it up, so yeah.
I think
That's it, man.
I like the way that you put that, because I joke around a lot on this podcast. I tell everybody I'm a baby Christian, right? And so in that sense, I say that because I understand that there are two different thought processes, and what that just said to me is that we don't always necessarily need to set our businesses on this pedestal just to give glory or just to give praise. Sometimes our businesses need to be set up highway byway, right? And then the way that we carry ourselves shows that we have the anointing. The way that we come prepared to the game in terms of business is how we show, and then our blessings rub off and our favor rubs off. Is that along the lines?
Yeah. I believe, I heard somebody say something years ago, but if you want to show people your faith in God, show them by the excellence of your life. That means that I can pay my bills, that every prayer request that I have is not about things that I should be able to take care of. Every prayer request shouldn't be, ooh, Lord, I need a financial breakthrough. My bill's behind. Ooh, Jesus, y'all pray that my credit, this falls off my credit. It's like you want to evangelize to a people or to people of the world that are wealthy, that are doing well, and they don't know your God. So you're evangelizing to those people with struggle. Make it make sense. That doesn't make sense. But if I show up successful, if I show up with everything in order, if I show up doing business the proper way, if I show up knowing how to not only speak the language of church or Christianity, but I also know how to speak the language of business. If I do all of those things, then now the people on the outside will give me an ear, not because of my faith, but because of my excellence. And once I establish a relationship with them, then I can introduce them to my God. But if I'm struggling and my business is struggling and my life looks like the ultimate struggle series, then it, no matter what I say about the favor and the supernatural presence of God, my life doesn't reflect what I'm saying. And I'm not going to convince anyone otherwise who don't believe in God. Yeah. Why do they need to believe in a God if you believe in and you broke? Why do they need to believe in a God if your business, if their business is successful, and here you are claiming Jesus and everything is anointed hands, LLC, but you're struggling? You give them no incentive to believe God. So I want to come in and help those people. Like, I see so many people online. I'm like, I know you have it. I will never deny if a person has the gift of entrepreneurship. What I will deny is that you're not doing it right. And that's the missing part. You're not doing it right. You're not showing the excellence of Christ in the proper way. You got to do it right. If you're going to do it, I would say do it right.
Absolutely. As we're doing this episode right now, it's Veterans Day, and I would be remiss if I didn't offer you that acknowledgement of Happy Veterans Day for yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. My father is actually a retired SEAL, and so the Navy, the Navy holds a special place. Yeah. But my father used to always tell me no miracle happens in the Bible without someone actually doing something. And so, and he wasn't necessarily a religious man, but he was, again, kind of, he understood it. He could have the conversation with anybody. He studied it for himself, but he got caught up in the work because of that belief that nothing happened without somebody doing something. What are the two things that you tell people to do when they come to the Marc Coley Business Academy? What are the first two things that you want people to do differently than they may have been doing when they come into the academy?
One of the main things that I talk to people that I mentor, people that I coach, is that I'm going to challenge your ego. And I didn't realize how powerful the ego was in my life because if you would have asked me 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said, I'm doing all I can do to be successful. And the reality is I wasn't. I was doing everything that I was comfortable with doing, and anything that scared me or threatened to take me out of my place of comfort, I fought against it subconsciously, and I didn't realize my ego was always at play. So one of the things that I tell people coming into are being introduced to me on a more of a coaching level or mentoring level is that I'm gonna challenge your ego, and I have to warn people of that, because the first thing when people start to challenge us or provoke us to do better, the first thing that arises is our ego, and you start to look for flaws in the person that's telling you, I'm grown. They don't know what they talk, but they be late too.
Right.
And what you don't realize is that your ego it got so offended, it got so upset because somebody was pushing you in a direction that you said you wanted, but you really didn't. And they're pushing you forward, and you now, as a response, instead of saying, you know what, coach, you're right. I slacked up. You're right. I should have planned better. You're right. Now your ego comes to defend you, and you say, you know what, I don't even want to be a part of this program. Why? Was it not helping you? Yeah, it was helping you, but you got to find a reason to discount, because your ego is so much in charge of your life. So that's what I always start with when I'm talking to people. I'm going to challenge your ego. I'm going to challenge your ego. I'm going to challenge, because your ego's job is to keep you safe. It doesn't know that you want to prosper. It doesn't know anything about wealth. All it knows is you're doing this right here. You're safe, and we're going to keep you right here. So Oprah, Obama, Joe Biden, anybody can come and offer you a path to success. As your ego is going to reject it. And most people say, no, man, if I get an opportunity. But just watch those same people. If your ego is so much in charge of your life, every good thing you will self-sabotage, because it doesn't fit into what your ego says is comfortable.
Wow. I'm almost speechless. Not quite. I'm almost speechless. Because I think that I haven't had anyone put it like that, because we outside of the entrepreneurship world, right, man to man, ego is something that it's an intangible until it gets checked, right? It's something that you walk around with and you pay no attention to, because it is your security blanket. And I think that I did have a mentor years ago, Edwin Haynes, and he told me that what did he tell me? He told me my ego was a security blanket until success rips it off of you, and you get the chance to either be cold and get over it, or you get the chance to be broke and keep it. And so that that hit home, man. That hit home a lot. I like it. Let's talk about the introductory quiz, because everybody's not a customer, and we can't be the coach for everybody. How did you come up with the idea for the introductory quiz for the academy, and what does that quiz look like for someone that's looking to work with you?
Well, the quiz, actually, shout out to my coach. She gave me the idea for it, because that's actually a part of her intake form. One thing you always want your clients or customers to self-identify. So I don't want to have to approach one person at a time and say, hey, this is what I do. Are you interested? Are you interested? Are you interested? So the quiz is for spiritual entrepreneurs. It's just to identify if you are actual spiritual entrepreneur. But the reality is, if you're on my website and if you're clicking through things and you decide to take the quiz, you've already identified yourself. Right. So it just asks a few questions just so that you know who you are. I already know who you are, but the quiz just takes you through a few questions so that you know who you are. Yeah. And then that also positions you to know, okay, who can help me? Because there are people out there. I would never say there's no one like me, because God gives multiple people the same vision for different regions and different purposes and whatever. Yeah. But I'll say it's not many out there. It's not like what I do. I'm not a trainer. You could post an ad right now on Instagram or Facebook and say, I need a personal trainer. Right. And you'll probably have thousands of people like, hey, I can coach. Hey, I can do it. So what I'm doing by merging faith and business it's still fairly new in the marketplace. And I know for the longest I was separating those two, and I didn't have anyone to tell me how to effectively merge them together. I thought, okay, either I'm going to be all business and I'm going to keep my faith to myself, or I'm going to be all faith and keep my business to myself. And God was just like, nah, you about to merge them two. It's time for them to kiss and hug. You know, so I literally did a live, I think it was last year or the year before last, and I'm on Facebook talking, doing a live, and I just got deep into the live. I don't even know what caused it, but I started crying, and I just was like, you know, literally God was telling me it's time to marry the two. You can't keep denying me or acting like you're all business. That's not what I called you to do. I called you to merge the two. So, yeah, man.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. It's funny because I think a lot of people have that same battle, right? As they have this gift, they have this calling, but they keep it separate from the thing that they either want to do or, you know, the thing that they feel like they should be doing. And that, you know, that frankly, it keeps a lot of people out of running their own business.
Yes.
And more importantly, it keeps those same people out of blessing others. And it's funny to me because I think that everybody has this role to play, right? I'm a firm believer that everybody has a story to tell, but you have to earn the right to tell it. And it's imperative that I think that part that you just said plays out, where you have to be willing to, and it goes back to your ego thing, you have to be willing to merge the two that you have this obvious gift for and then this obvious calling on, and be able to find a way to merge the two. How important was coaching for you in the process, or having a mentor for you in the process of elevating your business?
I wish I would have done it much earlier in my journey. I've been an entrepreneur for 12 years, different businesses. Like most people, I don't think my story is unique in that way.
Sure.
But as most people, most entrepreneurs, you know, we are probably self-taught, you know, very ambitious, very leader. I don't need anybody. I got to do it my own self type thing. So that was my mentality for the longest. I didn't see a value in having a coach. I didn't see a value of having a mentor. And I didn't really see many people talking about business coaches, and especially when I started. When I started, I never even heard the term entrepreneur until later in my journey. I in 2008, when I was actually doing the work of an entrepreneur, I wasn't referring to myself as an entrepreneur. I didn't even know that wasn't a buzzword like it is now. You have so many variations of entrepreneur, mompreneur, solopreneur.
Yes.
You know, it's just, you know, we done took that word and just
womanpreneur, guypreneur, trainerpreneur.
Guypreneur, everything. I'm like, okaypreneur.
Exactly.
But man, I was on the brink of giving up. Literally this year, I had decided to go back to the workforce. Was when in terms of application was not getting approved or asked for a callback. I even did an interview with Comcast. I went into the office, and I laid it on so good and thick. I was like, yo, I know they're going to call me next week and be like, when you want to start? I was ready, like, okay, you know, did a really good job. You know, and most companies hire veterans, you know, it makes them look better. So I was like, I got that advantage. I'm a veteran, you know, I can talk. I was just ready.
Yeah. And
even that job came back, you know, like, hey, unfortunately you didn't get selected. And I like, okay, I'm going to give business one more shot.
Yeah.
I said, this time I'm going to get a coach. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe something that I thought I knew, but I didn't know. And that's what I invested in a coach. And I believe, like I say, it wasn't necessarily that she taught me things I didn't know, but she gave me permission to be who I was, and she gave me validation. And that's what I needed. I needed somebody that I paid. And let me be very specific. Because, yes, you can have a million people around you saying, oh, my God, you should do this. Oh, my God, you should do this. It's not until you pay for some advice that you take that advice serious.
It's something about that ownership.
It's something about it. That's why when people come to me, you know, and they talking about the whole, you know, this should be free. Why isn't this free? People don't value what they don't pay for. You don't value what you don't pay for. When you pay for, your mama told you this, and mama had the game on lock. the moment you became an adult and you had to pay your bills, you understood why mama said, turn them lights off. Why are these lights on? Yeah. You know, mom was fussing about these lights all the time, but you didn't have the responsibility of paying for the lights. So them lights didn't mean nothing to you. You can stay up all night and the lights stay on. Your mama wake up in the morning like, why were the lights on? Because she had to bear the bulk of paying that bill. So until you have to pay for the bill, nothing is serious to you. Nothing. You don't take it serious. So everything you're going to do with me, there's some things I offer for free. I have my accountability card that's free. My school of prayer, of course, that's free. But I understand that people value what they pay for, even if it's $10, even if it's $9. When you pay for something, you take it a little bit more seriously. Granted, there's an audience of people who pay for stuff and still don't take it serious.
Right.
Those are your ideal customers, because listen, they paying you $1,000 a month and they ain't even working on nothing. So
right,
I told my client the other day, I said, you paid me this amount of money. I said, it's going to be your responsibility to make sure that you get what you need out of this, not mine.
Right.
You've already paid me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you still got to make sure that you do the work. I'm not holding your hand. Just because you paid me don't mean I'm holding your hand. But, man, a coach is I look at it just like a divine shortcut. You know, you just somebody giving you the game that maybe they paid $20,000 to get it wrong. Now they giving it to you in a condensed version. They're giving you the cheat code, the playbook, you know. So I don't know why so many people are not, running towards coaches, so.
It's crazy.
It was a game changer for me.
It's got to be that ego thing. And
it's always,
I think it's fitting that for some reason, we keep coming back to that, because even myself, some of the clients that I've had, there is a barrier there. It's either ego or belief, right? Those are the two things that I think most people get caught up in. Either the ego to say, I don't need help, I can figure this out, or the lack of belief that you are worth the success that you dream about. And I think that's always been huge, especially in our community, is this lack of belief, because we always seem to be starting from below the starting point, right? We don't have, typically as a culture, we don't have the trust funds, we don't have the head start, we don't have the parents investing in us. So we're starting from the bottom, and that belief is something that we have to continue to build through the process. How did you learn how to build your belief systems over your 12-year career to where you got to the point where you were able to feel comfortable with raising your prices, or feel comfortable with stepping out into the front of the room where you could, not only be charging, but charge multiple people and speak to multiple people and feel validated to do so? How did you practice that belief building?
I talked about this on a live the other day. We see this meme that circulates social media, and also, we hear the part of songs, charge your worth, add taxes, and I've been a part of that conversation too, like, charge your worth, get your money. And what I realized is that, I can charge my worth, but two things come into play. Do I actually feel like I'm worth that, or am I just setting a high price because everybody is screaming charge your worth? Second part of that, is the market willing to pay me what I'm charging? So we don't make that a part of the conversation of charge your worth and add tax. Listen, here's the reality. You could charge $2,000 to tie people's shoes. Yeah. But is the market paying $2,000 for people to tie their shoes? Yeah, you could say you worth that. I'm the best shoe tire in America, and I do this, and I tie luxury shoestrings. But if the market does not see the value in that, nobody's paying you $1,000. Even the most successful or the wealthiest individual, if they don't see value in paying you $1,000 to tie their shoes, they're not going to pay it, no matter what the Instagram meme said. So I first had to be comfortable within myself saying, I not only say that this is my price, I deserve this. The second part is the market willing to pay for this? So that means if you set a price for something and nobody ever purchases it, either your marketing is horrible, nobody knows about you, you're not pushing it out there, or the market's not willing to pay that for your services. They don't see enough value for what you're requesting. So is somewhere there's a disconnect. And here's the last thing I'll add to that. Before I could charge anybody else $1,000 or $250 for an hour, I had to be willing to spend that on someone else.
Let's go.
Until I paid my coach her worth, I couldn't expect anybody else to pay me my worth. You get what I'm saying? If I looked at her and say she's too expensive, then somebody else gonna look at me. And I'm sure that's, of course, still people that look at me and say, "Well, I can't afford that."
Absolutely.
But there's something that breaks, I believe, and I believe it's spiritual. There's something that breaks when I say, "Okay, I value your voice enough to say, here's your money." And now on the back end, I could say, "Well, listen, I just paid somebody for what I have. I just paid for this, so I will not dare let you come get it for $50. I have a receipt of what I paid for this, and yes, over the years I've paid more over the time, but I have a single isolated incident where I paid this woman for her value. So now I can come back and say, all right, I got done with that. Now I can raise my prices because guess what? I know what I paid for this. Yeah. So I'm not going to let you cheat me. I'm not going to let you steal from me, you know, and I know what the market is willing to pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the record, I know this coach that you're speaking of, and she ain't cheap.
Right.
Look.
Yeah, exactly.
she ain't cheap.
Not cheap at all.
I wanted to ask you, there's many types of fear that entrepreneurs or someone chasing a dream or goal in general encounters. There's fear of missing out, there's fear of failure, and there's also fear of success. How do you help identify which fear a person is dealing with and address it from there?
I don't know if I have a method of identifying. Typically, when I get on the phone with my clients, we open up with prayer. I let them talk, and then I listen for certain things. I look at their body language as they're describing the things that they desire, and then I'm able to kind of pull out, I think, problem areas. You know, if they say certain words like "I'm trying" or one day, and if the voice and the body language is not giving me, I'm assured of this, I know that there's some type of fear in there that either the fear is I can't do this even though I'm aspiring to do it, or there's a fear of, well, what if I do it and it actually is a hit? Would I be prepared for it? So, and it goes along the lines of what you're saying about the fear of missing out and the fear of success, which those are one of the things that we don't really talk about a lot. Everybody is striving for success, but are you prepared for success? And that's one of the things that the Lord just kind of has been giving me of, make sure your system's in place, because if you receive or let's say you sell cakes and you receive an order for 1,000 cakes at one time, would that propel your business or would that shut your business down? You know, everybody is screaming, ooh, contracts, more contracts. Yeah, contracts. But what if 5 contracts come in at one time? Do you have the staff? Do you have the inventory? Do you even have the systems in place to manage what you're requesting? And if you don't, then you shouldn't be praying for more. You should be praying on, how do I make sure that I can, how do I make sure my systems are in place to handle what I have now before I scale? You know, and the fear of success is wrapped all in that, because we don't want to address the problem areas in our business. We just want success to show up, but success doesn't necessarily show up until I'm prepared to handle it, because God don't want to, we often say it, God won't put more on you than you can bear. But hey, if you keep asking God send it, God do it, oh God, okay, here you go, here you go, homeboy, here you go. Yeah. And now you cry, oh God, it's too much, God, I'm in a depression. You couldn't handle what you requested. But yeah, all of those fears, man, entrepreneurship, I feel, is the ultimate thing to get you closer to the ultimate version of yourself, because it's gonna challenge all parts of you, and it's gonna challenge those fears, and you just gotta be able to have those conversations with yourself. At the end of the day, you gotta be able to ask yourself, why am I delaying in doing this part of this assignment? Is it because ultimately I don't want it to work? Am I self-sabotaging? You got to be able to have those real conversations with yourself. Like, why do I keep delaying booking this event, or booking this, or doing this? I keep saying I want to do it, but why am I delaying? delay sometimes is an indication that you're scared of it. You're scared that it might work. You're scared that it might not work. So you instead, you just delay and just procrastinate because ultimately you're scared, but you're calling it something else. Oh, I'm just doing a little bit more research. Bro, you've been researching for 2 months. What else do you want to learn about this? Either it's going to fly or flop.
Yes.
But call it what it is. You're scared.
You're scared of it. I think we just unlocked a new module, and that is the prayer of preparation. And maybe that's what we need to be focused on is the prayer of preparation, because even you know, I've had people tell me that they want to. You ever hear people say that they want increase so that they could give God the glory, right? Mm-hmm. You've heard people say that I want increase and I want to be greater, I want to be better so that I can give God the glory. And I think that in that prayer of preparation, we have to give glory to the process as well. Mm-hmm. You know, and I like the way that you put that. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this. So it dealing with the faith-based community and entrepreneurship, we always hear that sermon of "It's my season." And so you probably know where I'm going with this. When you have clients or when you have entrepreneurs that is it an easy? I'll just ask it like this: is it an easy cop out to say the self-defeating language of maybe it's not my season, maybe it's not my time? Is that the easy way out?
Yes, it's always the easy way out. It's always goes back to that fear once again. You're just scared, so now you blame God and say, well, God just got something better for me. No, God got this for you right here. Sit down and work. You know, and that's what I'm talking about as far as merging those worlds together, because in the spiritual arena, just saying God is still dealing with this or God is still working, it's just a spiritual cop-out that you're using. It's just this crazy mindset that, but did you really work hard towards it? Did you really give it your all? And the only person can answer that is you. But I think if we were able to peek inside the hearts of people, we will see there were so many opportunities that you didn't move, that you should have moved, that would have made it your season. You know, so yeah, all that stuff is a cop out. I'm waiting on the Lord. What we waiting for? I'm waiting for the next set of direction. Okay, you know, all of these. And when people start talking like that to me, I hit them with the same conversation that I'm having with you. Okay, that's cool, but we about to work right now, and we just gonna wait on the Lord while we work. You know what I'm saying? So that's not an excuse for you to put forth effort in something. You know, while we waiting for the release, while we're waiting for the breakthrough, we're gonna be doing this. All right, get your checklist out. You know, so they don't like me in these church streets.
They don't like me in the church streets. I love it.
They don't like me in these church streets.
It's funny that, you know, because I hear people, again, baby Christian, right? And I say that because I will call people out on the things that don't add up logically. And so for me, it's hard to understand the process of being heavy on the faith and being deep and super spiritual and broke. I don't understand it. And I'm not saying that I think that there should be this veil of, you know, the prosperity preacher. Like, I'm not saying go all full Creflo Dollar, buy me a jet, but I don't understand having this much belief and not being able to walk in the results. What does it look like when somebody's finally walking in their favor for entrepreneurship? How can you tell when that switch flips?
I think it's a level of confidence, a level of clarity, and it's a boldness that follows you and goes before you. It's like it's like your mom been holding the biggest secret of your life from you, and she calls and say, you know, you're actually a king, you know, of this country, or you're actually a queen, and you're like, what? I'm the king. You know, so it's like it's just a different mindset that you embody. Like once I started to embody what God has said about me and who He said I am, then it's no longer I'm walking in intimidated, but I know like God called me to do this. God, and when you start thinking along those lines, it just gives you this level of confidence and a grace that's on your life that attracts other people to you. You know, so I think that's the biggest breakthrough in my business. I haven't done any new photo shoots or new branding or new whatever that people say you have to do. Simply, I became confident in who God called me to be. So as a result of that, the light switch went off. And now that people see that I know who I am, they want to be a part of what's moving or how I can assist them. You know, people see the first result in you, and then they want to get from you. Just like if I show you that I just purchased a $2.5 million complex, hey, I can assure you that there's somebody going to hop in your DM and be like, show me how to do that.
Yes.
So now that I'm walking in this level of, and that's the thing, that grace comes before the money. So once you start walking into the place of authority, the money follows you because money is attracted to confidence. It's attracted to movement. So now people want to flock to you and say, how can you help me? All right, cool. Yeah, because I already set my prices. Here it is. Here it is. You come get it. And the money starts to trickle in. You know, I was talking to one of my friends and we were talking about perception. Yes. And these are one of the things that you won't hear in church because, you know, the church will tell you, well, don't show your blessing. Don't show. The devil will get your blessing. That's a whole nother conversation. Hopefully we can have it one day. Yes. You know, the devil. So I was telling a friend, I said, it's like when I got my BMW, because I had a Nissan Altima before then, I really didn't care, you know. Now, granted, I prefer a BMW over Nissan Altima, but a Nissan Altima wasn't causing any problems, you know, still getting up and down the road, still, you know, just me and my car. But the moment I got that BMW and people knew that I had the BMW, my coaching, you know, just started blowing up. People were booking me. Hey, how can I book you? I said, oh, I got it. They needed to see a representation of success. You know, they needed to see a Nissan Altima to somebody that doesn't have a car may be a success, but to people that have a car and, you know, doing okay, if I pull out in a BMW, now it's like, yo, what is he doing that I need to be doing? What method, what system, what does he have that I need to tap into? Now, okay, I need to book with this guy. The church will tell you, don't put your blessing on the internet. Don't do that. The devil will steal your blessing. You know, all this religious stuff and, you know, stuff that doesn't really make sense or hold any weight. But in business, you got to understand that your marketing and your perception and all of that matters. But it starts with you first, and then the money will follow you. So the moment you step into your truth of who you are in God and what you're called and destined to do, and you are completely assured of that, trust me, money will push like it's nothing.
I love it. And you know, it's funny because you always hear how the devil will do things outright, right? We give the devil so much credit. The devil will do this. He'll steal your blessing. He steal, kill, and destroy. But when it comes to the blessings and the favor, it's always wait. It's always, you know, it's your season and maybe it's not your time. And if you just do this, if you just believe, like we have to start changing the narrative, I think, in regards to, you know, how powerful faith and favor is. And one of my past guests, Erica Diaz, is one of my favorite people on earth because she tells people all the time, God don't play about me. And whatever it is that I put my hands on, it will be prosperous. And I've watched her over the last 10, 12 years similar. And everything that she says comes to pass. And I think that we need to change the narrative on, you know, who has such immediate, intimate power, right? Like we have to stop saying that. I feel like we give the devil more credit for tangible stuff.
Right.
And that's not, you know, where we want to be. In terms of business, what was your lesson in consistency that taught you that you have to either increase or sustain consistency so that your business could grow?
I've always been, I'm trying to see the best way to answer this. I've always been consistent with things that I'm passionate about. But what I've noticed is that sometimes I lack consistency in things that I'm not as excited about. So what I had to do for those things was I had to almost do like a mind hack and convince myself that these things were fun. You know, like if you tell me to figure out like some software or do some video editing stuff and stuff that I like, oh, this is fun, this is so creative, I'll jump to it and I'll work at it forever.
Yeah.
You know, but things that I don't really enjoy, my mind is automatically like, oh, I got to do this again. And I found myself being inconsistent with those things. Like I hate doing administrative stuff, like, you know, making sure I track data, and but I know that's a part of business.
Yeah.
So I now have to convince myself that, yay, it's Monday.
Analytics are fun.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just, I'm so much fun. But I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's all about just hacking your mind for those things that you are inconsistent with, because it does take it all. So that's my only advice. I'm still working on those things as well. So I don't want to come across as an expert in consistency, but what I will say is that for 12 years, even though I've done multiple things within the 12 years of time, my consistency to be an entrepreneur and strive for success has always been very clear. There's people that have been following me since 12 years ago, and they often say the same thing, like, man, you've been doing this a long time. And granted, I've done multiple things, but what they're saying is that you've been in pursuit of entrepreneurship. You ain't just started this year. You've been doing this for a while. Right. So I've been consistent at that, but I also have to master being consistent at things that aren't so fun.
Yeah. I will say that is rubbing off, because I watched one of your lives not too long ago, and you were talking about staying focused, and you said that you literally have to put your phone away, like out of reach, so that you can knock out some of those vegetable tasks, right? And it's funny, I actually did that last night. I had tons of stuff to do for the podcast, to start the YouTube channel, all that. And I literally put my phone in another room, and I laughed out loud, because I was like, and I'm interviewing him tomorrow, and this is what I'm doing. But it worked, right? It worked. And I think that that it's one of those things that because it's muscle memory, right? To reach for the phone and grab it and scroll and see what's happening. Like, you put it in that other room, and it's almost like you have to reward yourself, like, okay, I did XYZ, now I can go get the phone.
Now I can go play.
I love it. How do you plan your business? How do you set up goals, whether it be quarterly or annually? How do you take that time and approach your goals that way?
One of the main things, I love to write things out. I have to see it in in an open canvas. And I used to always fantasize about having like a wall that I could write on. So, my partner got me what is it called? A plexiglass, and I have it in my office, and now I could just write out everything. So often I'll just write notes, and I have different businesses and different categories and what I'm working on with those things, and it's all coming together. I have to remind you that I've been an entrepreneur for 12 years, but making money is still very new to me. So I've created charts and things to track data. I'm tracking followers, I'm tracking my email list, I'm tracking my text club list, and I'm looking at all of that data, and it helps me to come out with plans for my business. So, man, the best advice I can say for planning something out is being able to see it all together. Because I do write things in notebooks,
sure,
but of course the page is very limited, and I have to turn the page, and then, if I turn 5 pages, I can't remember what I wrote 3 days ago because I can't see it anymore. I'm on a new page. So
right.
I've already, even though I jot the things down, I'll still forget it. But when I have my wall up, I can look at everything and go by and say, check. Okay, this is for January. This is for February. This is for this month. This is for that. This is how much money I want to make. And I just have to be able to see it out open. And now the only thing I'll add to that is everybody is different. So finding what works best for you when it comes to planning things out, I think is key, because somebody else listening to this is going to say, oh, I'll do that. That's going to work for me. And you do it and you see that it doesn't work for you. Maybe getting a to-do list works better for you. Maybe an Excel document or something works better for you. So that's go-to as far as planning out my business and planning out things that I want to do.
I love it. Getting close to wrapping up. I want to talk about, you just touched on it, but I want to talk about your email list because I think it's important that people that are launching a business or are up and running understand how important getting an email list is. So can you walk me through really quickly how you both create, how do you gather your emails? Like what system do you use to get your emails, convert followers to emails, and then how you leverage that email list?
Yeah, so I use ConvertKit. I learned it from another online influencer, but I use ConvertKit, and if I have a class or anything where I'm selling something, I automatically just transport that data over to ConvertKit. So now I have your email. If I'm doing any webinars, like there was a guy that reached out to me today about doing a webinar with a few other individuals, and I said, the only thing that I request is emails and phone numbers, because if we're going to do something for free, I need to make sure on the back end that it's benefiting me as well.
Yeah.
So that's how I've been able to, and I literally just started being serious about my email list, and I'm almost up to 600. But it comes from doing those webinars, selling products, because all of those things retrieve emails for you.
Right.
And then it also gives me the opportunity to market to people consistently. Everybody doesn't check their emails, but those that do, they're going to see something from me in the email list, when I'm advertising a class or I'm doing something, or I just want to reach out and say, hey, it's Mark, how's it going?
Right.
It just gives me that direct line of communication with my audience. But another thing that I've implemented is my mobile club as well. So just as important as the email is, I would say having a number for your client, because we check text messages way more than we check an email, so now I have my database of about 500 people there as well, too, or maybe 400. But I have my School of Prayer, and the only way that you can get the link for the School of Prayer is by joining my mobile club. So as that grows, so does my mobile club grow. And guess what? The people are self-identifying because they're interested in a prayer call, and they know it's strictly for entrepreneurs. So if you are on this call, you're in my mobile club, you are my target audience, and you just signed up to hear from me. So, all of that is super important because I just don't want to leave it up to social media for you to hear from me.
Absolutely. We see Instagram fall and freeze up all the time. And I think
all the time,
I tell people all the time, like if your business is only on one outlet, that it's really not your business. It's Instagram's business. It's Facebook's business. And when Facebook goes down, you are out of business for that, amount of time.
Yeah. Right.
In your journeys, what is the biggest lesson that you wish somebody would have taught you within the last couple of years?
Say it one more time. You went out just a little bit.
Oh, my apologies. I was asking, what's the biggest lesson that you wish somebody would have taught you, in the last few years or since you've launched even? What's the biggest lesson you wish somebody would have taught you?
The biggest lesson, don't look for support from people that know you or knew you. Don't look for them to support and validate you. That was a big hang up for me for many years because the things I was doing was literally like a child screaming for attention, like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And I know they're going to notice this and I know they're going to applaud me. So for many years of being an entrepreneur, I was looking for the applause of people that knew me best. But I wish somebody would have told me and informed me that it may not come when you want it. It may take the world acknowledging you before friends and family acknowledge you, and that's perfectly fine. It's normal, It's not a unheard of thing, but even the Bible talks about that of a prophet not being respected or celebrated in his hometown. So When people know you, they know you, and they don't want to replace the old version that they know with the new version that you're presenting. So the world then has to come in and say, oh my God, he's amazing or she's amazing and they're great. And your family and friends are looking at you like, what, Shanika? Oh, that's just Shanika. But they're like, no, she's amazing, she's great. And they finally sometimes start to see like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, he's always been good at this. He's always been good at that. But, it's that. So I wish somebody would have told me about that. Yeah, that's been my biggest hang up. But now that I'm in a place where I don't care, I get it more now.
I love it. Last question. If you were introduced to the business of church, and not church, the business of church, meaning how to engage with people that aren't quite ready to just walk through the doors on their own volition, or if there was a new church in town and they needed to gather, gain membership, what would be the one thing you would do marketing wise to help that church grow?
I would tell them not just to start a church, but find what's really needed in that community or what's needed among their target audience.
Yes.
And I know it's interesting to say that about a church because church is quote unquote for all people, but I think just church is just like a business, in many regards it is like a business.
Yes.
And everybody is not going to be for that church. That pastor has a very different approach from the pastor down the street. Yeah, we're talking from the same Bible in most cases, but we all have different styles. We all have different appeals. Maybe this pastor is an entrepreneur, so the audience is going to reflect more of business owners, and the conversations and the messages are going to reflect more business owners. So I would say to a church, find out who you're going to attract and who you want to target, and then narrow in on those people, their needs, their wants, their desires. Make church a church for them, not a church for all people. We got enough churches in the world where somebody can find a church just for them.
Yeah.
But make it a church for just a target, a very specific group of people. And I feel like it'll grow organically because I hang out with people who are what? Like me. So
Absolutely.
If I find a church that is just perfect for me, I'm going to tell you about it. Like, man,
I love it.
Bro, you're an entrepreneur too, man. This church is like just for entrepreneurs, man. Everything we do about business, and there's so many other entrepreneurs, and it's just the word of mouth is going to spread. If you into traditional, man, my church is so traditional. We just only play old school music. That's it. We do da 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 da. It makes more sense to me versus a church for all people. So,
Absolutely.
But that's definitely not the popular opinion.
and that's why you are the entrepreneur's pastor. Now, listen, we love to shorten the learning curve. I tell everybody that listening to this podcast is how work ethic, belief, and vision come together. So no pressure. But I think it's only right if you close this out with all the visionaries, you close this out with a prayer.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Let's get it. Yeah, I always got time to do that. Yeah, let's go. Were you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Father, we thank you for another day. We thank you for this podcast. We thank you for every person that will listen to this, wherever they may be. Father, we thank you that there is something said, information, inspiration that was shared today that will empower them, that will wake them up, that will give them a new perspective on life and in business. I even pray for the growth of this podcast, that it will reach new ears, that it would travel, it would expand, that the audience base will expand, that even the cultural lines will begin to merge, that there will be a wide audience of people listening to this podcast, Father. So I thank you that you're making these things possible so that you will get the glory ultimately, Father. And we thank you for new ideas. We thank you for a greater level of understanding and wisdom in this season as we end Q4 and go into 2021. We thank you that we survived this year, Father. We thank you that we are surviving, and we thank you that there is going to be an overflow of abundance as we approach the end of this season and the beginning of a new season. And it's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the one and only Marc Coley, on the Hawk Vision podcast. Make sure you share this across your social media platforms. Like, share, subscribe, and we want your emails, as a matter of fact, because so you can be first to know when Marc Coley's episode goes live. Man, listen, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your practices with the visionaries, man. It was absolutely impactful. I know I've learned, and I know that many others will as well.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, man.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Hawk Vision Podcast. We will talk.
Representing East Oakland, man.